It happens every Memorial Day. I'm enjoying my day off, doing some grilling with my family, and then I start to feel guilty. Guilty that I'm not celebrating this holiday the right way. Guilty that so many young men and women gave their lives for our country. And then I ask myself, what is the right way to celebrate this holiday? I'm Jeremy Graham, and this is the Next Chapter podcast. This episode, I talk with Next Chapter clinician Ken Kertner about guilt, gratitude, and the best way to honor veterans during holidays like Veterans Day and Memorial Day. Here's our conversation. What is the best way to express gratitude to a veteran and kind of like, not just say thank you for your service, but actually like mean it and walk the walk? What can people do to kind of, show their appreciation and their gratitude for veterans?
When you say thank you for your service, that can go either way for a veteran. So some veterans, they appreciate that. And other veterans, it's a lot like, it puts them in an awkward situation. And so for me personally, and this is, Ken the person, not, anything else, it's awkward. So I always say something like, oh yeah, like I got paid for it, or, oh, like it was just a job, or, oh, whatever. It's really awkward when someone's like, thank you for your service. But for other people, it's hey, like, no, thank you. Like, thank you for supporting. Like, our time frame didn't take a turn like it did during the Vietnam era. And so for that, like, a lot of veterans are really thankful and appreciate that thank you for your service that the community gives. So, I mean, it's always good to know that people are behind you and people support you, especially with, the way things are now, where everyone is, a lot of people are on totally opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's nice when at least people can come together and realize the sacrifice that, veterans have made, and families as well, to serving the country and keeping us all safe.
I've also heard that about being called a hero, or somebody like, if somebody says, oh, you're a hero, what is your thoughts on, the word hero?
I don't like it. For me, it's not it's not anything heroic that I did. I went, I served, I did what we had to do, accomplished the mission that was handed down to us, and then came home. Like, there's nothing, it's kind of, you look at people like Audie Murphy and like Dakota Meyer and, the other, Medal of Honor recipients that we've had over the last, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. Those guys are heroes, because those guys were put in extraordinary positions and rose to the challenge and did what they had to do to accomplish the mission and bring as many people as they could home. Those individuals are heroes, and that's why it's the Medal of Honor. That's a heroic, thing. For most of us, we just went, did our thing, and came home.
So, but if somebody wanted to express gratitude to you, Ken, the person, really, would words on the street or words, at a restaurant or something like that, would those really mean anything? Or is there like, what would be the best way to express gratitude?
For me, it's remembering the fallen is the best way to express gratitude. And so that would be, during December, we have Wreaths Across America, which is a same day across the entire country where people go to cemeteries and are able to lay wreaths down at, service members' funerals. And so having, my dad in a veteran cemetery, my grandfather's in a veteran cemetery, multiple friends, that's the way to show gratitude is, donating for a wreath so that every veteran gets one on their gravesite, or going to your local veteran cemetery and volunteering to lay wreaths down at gravesites. I think doing things in the community, don't talk about it, be about it. And so doing things in your community like that to say thank you for your service. There's no greater thanks that you can give than to have a wreath and lay it on a service member's gravesite that has passed away. That says thank you enough. Things like that. Really, really to help out. And actions speak louder than words. So if you really want to thank a veteran for their service, do something with veterans organizations. Not so much, I'm not saying everybody has to donate money, but time is money. So if you donate some time, I think that'd be well worth it.
And what in this month, what are the best places you could donate time? Can you go down to can you donate time with Next Chapter or anything like that, or is it VA, or what could somebody do to kind of donate that time?
The Veteran Stand Down is a big one, and that's where we verify an individual's veteran status, and then they're able to come in and get multiple resources as well as gear to keep them warm during the winter months, because we know veterans have a high homeless population. And so that, coming in and helping, give some time would help out a lot in that aspect. I know Mount Carmel has multiple ways to volunteer to help out. There's, you can help volunteering to help with the Veterans Day Parade. There's other organizations that someone could help volunteer for. Marion House, the soup kitchen. Go into your local soup kitchen to donate some time to help feed the homeless, because chances are a high majority of those are veterans. And so just doing things like that to not only help your local veterans, but also the community as a whole. That's the best way to give back and say thank you.
Yeah. So that, that term, thank you for your service, should that ever be used? Should we retire that term? I know you said it makes you a little uncomfortable. Is it time to retire that term? I don't know.
I think I don't think so. Just because it's so well rounded to where some people appreciate that. With Vietnam veterans, my thing to them is always welcome home, because they didn't get a warm homecoming when they came back.
A lot of protests.
So telling a Vietnam vet welcome home, I think is better than thank you for your service. It's going to sit better with them. But with my generation, I don't think it's time to retire it, because it's, it is that gratitude of saying thank you for your service. And it's that gratitude of saying, hey, I just want to let you know from me, a civilian who didn't serve, who didn't have to go, I want to say thank you. So I understand where they're coming from the other side. Just it makes me feel uncomfortable. So I don't think it's time to retire it. I think if someone wants to say thank you for their service and that they mean it and they're truly grateful for that sacrifice that a military service member or a family member has dealt with, I think that's fine. Do what's in your heart. Do what you feel like is right. I think for me, probably it's understanding where the gratitude comes from, and don't be so awkward about it when someone does say thank you for your service.
So it's a good way, but maybe not the best way, to express gratitude or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's individuality. You could pull in, 10 veterans and say, how do you feel when someone says thank you for your service? And you're going to get 10 different answers. So it's, it depends on the individual and their service and what they did and the type that they, the type of service that they were involved in. I've heard people say, it was by pleasure. I've heard people say, thank you for your support. It's always a different answer when you have thank you for your service. And so I think if someone wants to show that gratitude by telling someone thank you, I think they should go ahead and do it. I don't think it's time to retire yet.
Okay. Good to know, because if I go to, a restaurant or a bar or something and, I live real close to Fort Carson and a lot of veterans and active duty folks there and, offer to buy somebody a beer, but I typically don't say thank you for your service. I mean, I don't know why, but...
Yeah, I mean, buying a veteran a beer definitely would say thank you quite strongly.
Would you rather have a beer or thank you for your service?
I'd rather have a whiskey. I don't drink beer, but I'd rather have a whiskey than thank you for your service.
Bottle of Stranahan's is...
Bottle of Stranahan's or a shot of Stranahan's over thank you for your service any day.
Gotcha. Well, I'll keep that in mind. We... for next chapter and kind of our marketing initiative, we're just kind of starting this new message, Salute to Wellness, and it's kind of like designed to break that stigma about, talking about your behavioral health and that kind of thing. So, and so it's all about expressing gratitude and breaking that stigma, that Salute to Wellness. And we're asking people for messages and stuff like that. And then how can somebody salute to wellness in their everyday life?
I like Salute to Wellness because it reminds us that we need to take care of ourselves. And that's not just the physical part of it, that's also the behavioral health part of it. And, looking at, what are you doing for yourself? And what are you doing to make sure that you are well? We talk all the time that as a veteran, you can't do the things that we've had to do in combat and home and abroad and other places that, aren't really mentioned that much without some type of moral injury or that you have to deal with at some point in time. And so taking care of yourself and making sure that you're okay and understanding that, you're not going to be okay all the time and realizing when you're not okay and when to reach out for help. And just as much as we took care of our bodies and our physical health and making sure that we were in shape and that we could do things that we needed to do physically, now that we're out, it's making sure that we take care of ourselves mentally so that we can be the best community member, the best father, the best mother, the best partner. And so just looking at it from making sure that you're good and that you're living your best life now that military service is over.
We've been, asking some veterans and stuff, and we're doing a big social media push and having people do videos all about Salute to Wellness and what Salute to Wellness means. And a lot of people are talking about their own vulnerabilities and kind of that acknowledgement that something may not be right, or that there's some residual feelings from time in service and stuff like that. So, I mean, in a way, admitting your own vulnerability and it is kind of a salute to wellness in its own right.
Yeah, it's about that recognizing that something is going on and reaching out for it. And we can look at behavioral health, but, oftentimes, we push our physical health off as well. We don't go to the hospital as much. We don't go to the doctor as much as we should. We don't go to the dentist like we should. We just kind of keep pushing those things off. So I think a salute to wellness is looking at the whole body and your mind for that salute to wellness, saying, all right, like I'm going to start making my physicals every year. I'm going to start going to the dentist twice a year to get my teeth clean and things like that. And so overall wellness, I think, is what is really important during this month when we do our Salute to Wellness initiative.
And for somebody who's not a veteran or has never served, when we want to contribute and salute to wellness, is it just kind of kindness? Is it awareness? Is it more volunteering? What can kind of just the average Joe on the street do to improve behavioral health amongst veterans?
I think specifically with our community in El Paso County, I think taking care of yourself is Salute to Wellness for veterans as well. We have a strong community. We have, 16, 17% of our community is veterans, which is really, really high. I mean, we're looking at 116,000 veterans that live in our community. And so just recognizing that people also often look at veterans and think that they are broken and hurt and kind of like lost puppies, if you will. And, that's not the case at all. It's, we've gone through some things and we're working through that. Just like civilians do. Civilians go through things and they work through that. And so I think understanding that we're not broken. We've just been through some extraordinary circumstances.
How do you talk to your kids about your,
I don't talk a whole lot about, military service with my kids. It's just kind of, oh yeah, like dad was in the military, and like I have old uniforms like hanging up and things like that in the back of the closet like everybody else does. And I'm like, oh yeah, when you were in the military, and my kids will be like, oh yeah, well, yeah, when you were in the military. It's like, yeah, well, like dad just, that's what dad did. And like, it wasn't a big deal, and just kind of brush it off. And then you have like kid stuff. So like you have explaining to your kids that no, like dad's done. So everything else that's going on in the world, dad's not going to get rushed off to, other parts of the world anymore. Like, no, bud, like dad's out. Like, that's it. I think that's a important conversation to have with the events going on in the world today that veterans have, saying, hey, like dad's not going anywhere anymore. Like,
yeah.
Dad's done. I'm good. I'm home.
That's, I'm sure, reassuring to them. It's, have they, expressed an interest, because you come from a military legacy and stuff. You're the third of your generation, or
third generation.
Have they expressed an interest, or if they did, would you encourage them to do that? Would you be a little hesitant for them to go in? Like, what's your opinion on that kind of thing?
I mean, they're 8, 6, and 5 now. So, I mean, one day they want to join the military. The next day they want to be a lion in a zoo. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of
Elsa.
Yeah. So, or they want to be a dog or a unicorn or something. So it's kind of very different for them right now.
Yeah.
But
too early for them to even consider. But when the time came, though.
When the time comes, it's having that conversation of, this is what it means to be in the military. Like, remember how dad was gone all the time? Like, that's going to be you. Like, remember, this and that, that's going to be you. And, I remember having that conversation with my cousin and like, hey, look, man, like, this is what, like, I want you to remember, like, you growing up, how many times did I come home? And he was like, well, not very many. I'm like, yeah, dude, like I was always gone. And, do you remember, when I did come home and this and that, and like just having that open conversation, and then, hey, like, this is the reality of being in the military. This is what it truly looks like. And then giving them that, that self-determination on, is that what they want to do? And for my cousin, it was, and he's been in for a little bit, and he's got a couple of deployments about, Eastern Bloc Europe and other places in the Middle East and things like that now. And so he was like, well, like, at least Ken didn't lie to me. He told me exactly what it was going to be. So I think just having that open conversation, if my kids ever came to me and wanting to join, that's just what I would have. I would have the same conversation, my grandfather had with me, that my dad had with me, and just give it all to him straight and say, it's up to you. It's your life. I'm not going to tell you no, because it set me up for success later on in life.
Yeah.
So I can't complain about it.
When you were a kid, though, and your dad was in the service, were your feelings mainly gratitude, or was there, if he was gone, were you resentful of that? Or like, how did you kind of feel growing up in that world?
I didn't know any better. So it was normal, for my dad to leave and come home and, be home for a few months and leave for a few months and be home for a little bit and then go out and do training and stuff like that, and moving around every 3-4 years. That was just kind of our life. And so growing up, I didn't know any better. So it wasn't gratitude, but it also wasn't, animosity. It was just kind of, this is how life is. And then I joined the military and saw how it was for my dad the other end. And I'm like, yep, like, this is just how life is.
Yeah. And like with other kids on the playground and stuff, were you kind of like bragging to them that your dad was, serving, or that it just didn't you were playing your own lion in a zoo kind of thing?
Yeah, my own lion in the zoo, but I also stayed with like-minded. So I gravitated towards like all the other military brats. And so we had our own little thing that, you come and go so often. It's like, why hang out? Why make close friends? Like, I'm leaving in 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So I really just hung out with all the other military brats who was coming in and out every 3 to 4 years. Cause everyone understood like, hey, we're here. Kind of like that saying, we're here for a good time, not for a long time. That's kind of how we took it in every community that we lived in. Hey, look, I'm here for a good time. I'm not here for a long time. And so we'll just hang out, we'll play and everything like that. And then, 3-4 years, you'll go somewhere, I'll go somewhere, other kids will come in, and that's just how.
Yeah. And maybe I'll get a random Facebook request from you 10 years from now or something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did your dad ever talk about what his upbringing was like, or, when he was home, did he kind of talk about what was going on, or like, did he push you to go into the military, or like what kind of, because there must have been that admiration there that motivated you to do it.
Well, so for me, it was like we had a very strict rule in our house, 1830. And that's, you turn 18, you got 30 days to get out. And so there's only 3 ways you can stay in the house. And that's, you have to go to some type of trade school. You have to go to like college, or you join the military. And that's it. If you weren't going to some type of higher education, or you weren't joining the military, like that's it. Like, you got to get your own apartment, get a job. You got 30 days after you turn 18 to get out the house. And that was just what was expected. You're going to improve your life in some way, shape, or form. Or, as my dad would say, you're going to go be a dummy, but you're not going to be a dummy in my house. And so that was kind of the rule. So, for my oldest brother, he went to college and went to the police academy and did that thing. And then for another brother, he went to a trade school. So he went to diesel mechanic school. And then, for me, the military was the right choice because I didn't take school serious.
Yeah.
And so I promise you, Jeremy, there was not a college in this world that would take me as a student at that time in my life. So my options were be a dummy or join the military. So that was it.
What if you were done with high school when you turned 18? Because I had like a few months left of high school when I turned 18.
Then you got 30 days after high school graduation.
Oh, after I graduated. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Man, that's a tough rule. That's how do you feel about that rule today? Will that rule exist in your house?
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, just because, it gives you it gives you that sense of I have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Like I can't just, being a 30-year-old, in my parents' basement was never an option. It was you're doing something with your life. And so, my brother, he stayed home, lived at my parents' house and went to diesel mechanic school the entire time. Like never paid rent, never did anything. Like everything was taken care of for him because he was going to that higher education.
Yeah, he was doing something.
My oldest brother, he also stayed at home, like lived at home all throughout college, like lived at home until he got his master's, lived at home during the police academy, like lived at home during this whole time frame. And so that was okay. That was fine. And I joined the military and left. So it wasn't you have to have a plan. Like you have to be doing something to better your life. And if you think you're just going to go work a minimum wage job and still live at home, like, no, you have to do something with your life. And so that was the main point that he was trying to get across. And so I'll probably carry that on saying, hey, like you have to do something with your life. You're not just gonna stay on mom and dad's couch and do nothing.
Yeah. It's the more I think about it, the more I think it's a good rule. But back to the theme of gratitude. So, I take it you have gratitude to the military for giving you that direction when you were 18, for getting you out of the house and not being a do nothing kind of guy, So do you think, or am I completely misreading that? Do you have gratitude towards the military, or what are your feelings there?
So I am grateful for my time in the military. It gave me skills that I would not have had anywhere else. And, being able to grow up quick. And, there's not a lot of, 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds that can say, I had 10 guys that worked for me. Yeah. And I was in charge of millions and millions of dollars of equipment. And so it gave me a sense of responsibility. It gave me a sense of people and how to treat your people that work for you and that work with you. It gave me a huge sense of responsibility, and it gave me a great deal of leadership skills that I still use today with Next Chapter. And so I'm grateful for my time in the military. The benefits of it helped me get through college. It helped me improve my life after military service. And so whether not all times are rainbows and butterflies, it did give me a lot of skills that I still use today that I'm grateful for.
So, what would you say to somebody, to a veteran who is feeling underappreciated and resentful of the military, and maybe not in a good place with their behavioral health? What kind of message would you give to them?
I would tell them, just come talk to us. Like, we've all been there. Like, I tell everybody that I meet, I don't come across many veterans who do not or have not had behavioral health issues. And also, I don't come across a lot of veterans that do not or have not had substance abuse issues. So whatever you're going through, like, we're all your brothers, we're your sisters, we've been there as well. Like, just come talk to us. And if you don't like what we have to say, if you think we really can't help you, all right, fine, no harm, no foul. But at least give us a chance. Come talk to us, see what we can do to help you out.
Yeah. It's a safe place. It's not affiliated with the military anymore. You're not going to get in trouble for talking trash on the military.
Yeah, no, we're not the VA. We're not the military. If you hate the VA, that's okay. Some of us like the VA. Some of us hate the VA. If you're mad at the military, that's okay. Some of our team members are still mad at the military for how they got out. So we feel you. We've been there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a complicated issue and a complex relationship with the military. Like, I'm sure there's stuff that people love and feel grateful for, and then certain aspects that they, are still working through and coming to terms with. And like, after those 3 or 4 years, you came to terms with, like, I didn't get kicked out. I was medically retired or something. Mm-hmm. So, and I think Next Chapter can and will help people work through that. So that's cool to be a part of, and I think we're nearing the end of our time here, so I'm going to make you uncomfortable and say thank you for your service.
I got paid for it.
This has been the Next Chapter podcast. Thanks to Ken Kurtner for his time and insights into veteran wellness. To learn more about Next Chapter, visit nextchapterco.org. If you or someone you know may be considering suicide, please call or text 988 or chat at 988lifeline.org. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again.